the shoe. Wait, Ron, I want to. This is going to be our prop tonight.
Yes.
Now I showed you this earlier, and you said you own a pair of these.
Yeah,
you
yeah. Yeah, of course I do. Only for special occasions like this evening, of course.
These are mine. I wear these on Sunday night sometimes. Ron, do you know what encyclopedias are in the UK?
Listen, man. Listen. I think encyclopedias were born here, along with the language and the knowledge that you have over there. Okay.
So like encyclopedias are old school, Ron. Like I don't know if you're young, you probably know what it's like a book. It's Google in a book,
dude. I own encyclopedias from back in the day. Like I can't throw them out. I've got like the Child Britannica ones and the full Britannica ones.
Old school, and you have encyclopedias in your house. You're
for decoration, for decoration, right? It's like a quirky thing to show the kids. Look, children, knowledge in a book.
Exhibition. Transvestitism.
No, go back to that one. Go back to the last one. Try that. Try it again.
Say that. Exhibit. So he likes to like flash people. And this is a really, for you obscure true crime fans, then there's a 1981 movie called Polyester. It's a U.S. movie about a disturbed teen named Ron Swanson. No, I made that up. So tonight we're going to talk about a serial killer that's not very well known and one of the most disturbed individuals I've ever studied. And he loves shoes, just like this. This would turn him on. If you took this to his visitation meeting with him, he would be really excited about it. He would probably ask, "Can I keep that?" And his name is Jerome Brudos, but he goes by Jerry Brudos. So Jerry Brudos was known as the shoe fetish slayer. He was also known as the lust killer, but I prefer the fetish slayer because we could call a lot of people the lust killer. Erdian is a very interesting individual that loves shoes and loved women's feet. Okay. This guy was born back in the day. He was born in 1939. So this is not a recent serial killer. And when I'm walking through this story, I like to ask people, when would you be concerned? Like, at what point would you say to yourself, if that was your son or your neighbor boy, would you say, "Holy shit, I think we have a serial killer here in the making," right? I want to ask you all, and I want you to put in the chat, when are you concerned? And so when you get to that point, I want you to put in the chat, "I'm concerned," okay? He's 5 years old. He's walking as a little boy, and he discovers in a dump, a junkyard, whatever y'all call it where you live, a trash bin, trash pile, he finds a pair of high heel shoes. He brings them home at 5 years old, and he wears them around the house, okay? You've seen kids do that. You're having a holiday party, and they walk around in someone else's shoes. Maybe I'm not worried yet. And his mom doesn't like it, and she scolds him, and she burns these shoes. Okay? Now, keep in mind, his entire upbringing, his mom told him, "I really wanted a daughter. I really didn't want you. I didn't want a son. I wanted a daughter." Okay? So always remember that's in the back of his head. He's not wanted. She wants a daughter, not a son. So at 5 years old, his mom burns these shoes. He starts to get involved as a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old boy. He starts to steal shoes and women's underwear. That's his thing, okay? He has a fetish for shoes, high heel shoes especially, and he loves stealing women's underwear. So let's start with that in the chat. You have somebody, a little boy who's stealing women's underwear and high heel shoes. Are we concerned yet? Are we calling somebody? Are we doing anything yet?
Well, I mean, listen, all I'm saying is he's a 5-year-old kid. He's found some shoes. He stole some pants. If it happened once, I'd probably just be like, "That's a bit weird."
Well, he didn't steal pants. He stole underpants.
Yeah, but in the UK, and where the language was invented, right? The English language in the UK, right? We call it trousers, underpants and trousers. Okay, pants are your underpants. Gee, this is from the country where the people need to be told the sidewalk is at the side. Do you know what I mean? Sidewalk. Don't walk in the middle. If they didn't call it sidewalk, it'd just be running about the roads crazy. All right. let's not go down that road. But yeah, if it happened once, I'd be like, oh no, don't take dirty shoes out of the bin.
Right.
No.
Okay, right. Okay, let's continue.
Okay.
He's 6 or 7 years old. He's in elementary school. He tries to steal the teacher's extra pair of high heel shoes. He gets caught. He starts having lots of health issues, and he has really bad headaches, and they think it's because it affects his eyesight, and they don't know what's going on. So you got all this stuff going on in his early life, and his mother keeps reminding him that I should have had a daughter. He moves he was born in South Dakota. He moves to Oregon, which is where he committed his crimes. And he continues to try to steal his friend's sister's underwear and clothing and shoes. So that continues all through his life. He discovers pornography at 13. At 16, he's having dreams, sexual dreams, and his mom is harassing him about his sheets, and she makes him wash his sheets himself. So when he's 16 years old, he wears a mask, and he tells a young girl to come to his house, and he stole her underwear or something, and he wears a mask, and he actually makes her strip at knife point, takes pictures of her naked body, and lets her go. She doesn't know who it is, and he doesn't get arrested or caught for that. So now at 17 years old, he is assaulting women, taking pictures of their nude body, almost like a rape act, a sexual assault. Are we concerned yet in the chat? Are we concerned?
Yeah. I mean, I would say alarm bells would be ringing, right?
They should be ringing.
Definitely. Alarm bells should be ringing at this point. Do you know what I mean? I would say yeah.
He continues on with his life, though, and he graduates from high school, very low GPA, 2.1. And he goes off to college and tech school for electronics. He joins the army. He gets kicked out because his bizarre obsessions with women. And so at the age of 21, he moves back to Oregon with his parents. His mother makes him sleep in the shed out back. All right, so that's kind of like, if you all know who Ed Kemper is, his mother's making him sleep in the storage shed out behind the house, which is really bad, by the way.
Of course.
He went and strangled a woman at that time, strangled her unconscious, stole her underwear, her shoes, and slept with the underwear and the shoes in his storage shed out behind his parents' house. He got his FCC license, and at the age of 21, he started working at a radio station, met his future wife. And you ready for this? He actually got married at the age of 22 to a woman named Darcy. And he had a daughter at the age of 23. So they commit these heinous crimes, or they're committing heinous crimes, but on the surface, they look super normal. So this is what Brudos looks like. And if you all watch Mindhunter, this is the famous actor that played him in Mindhunter.
Nice.
It was one of the best portrayals in Mindhunter. Again, Jerry Brudos being arrested. This is what this cat looks like. He doesn't look like a monster. He looks pretty normal.
How many of them do? I mean, leaving out Ramirez, obviously. Right. Ramirez.
Yeah. He just looks pretty normal.
Yeah.
Now he's been in prison for a while. So to speed up the story.
Yeah, no, take your time.
Married, he's got a daughter. Things are going well on the surface. But he's this is a lot of people talk about this as a serial killer warning sign, because a lot of people want to know about warning signs. How can you tell someone's a serial killer? It's pretty tough. But one of the things we see is jumping job to job to job to job. They can't hold a job. Jerry can't hold a job. So for 5 years, he's moving all over the Oregon coast. And in 1967, at the age of 28, he has a son born. His wife will not let him attend the birth for some reason. I don't know why. So he goes back to his underwear thefts and shoe thefts. He starts stalking women. And he attacked a woman one time in Portland. She was sleeping, broke into her home. This is the age of 28, 1967. He choked her unconscious, raped her, and took her shoes.
Jesus.
So at the age of 28 is when he started killing. And this is in 1968. So again, this is back in the day. His first victim is this beautiful young lady. This one, right? Let me try if I can get this ready for you. The blonde young lady, top there. She comes right to his house. She's selling encyclopedias. Linda Slauson, that's her name. Linda Slauson, 22 years old, is selling encyclopedias. Are you ready for this? This is really bad. She knocks on the shoe fetish slayer's door.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Nobody's home except for him. He invites her in and somehow gets her to the basement. Takes a 2x4, a piece of wood, bashes her over the head, chokes her to death, has sex with her corpse, which he loved to do, cuts off her foot, puts a shoe in it. So he has a foot, right? A real foot, puts a shoe in it, puts it in a shoe, and he puts it in the freezer to preserve it, and he will use this for masturbation for some time. That's his first victim, and he dumps her nude body in a river. Let's see, he dumped her over a bridge. Yeah, he is so into that fetishism or whatever you want to call it. Yes. Now, there's 12 women who were reported missing and disappeared in his area during this time, and he was never charged with. And Ron, this is why I do these interviews, because I would be reaching out to him right now and saying, hey, listen, there's some missing people, missing women in your area. How about you talk about some of these unsolved cases? And that's what I'm doing with my podcast, Where the Bodies Are Buried. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to start doing on here. So then another woman, a student named Jan Whitney, is killed. And again, 1968, 1969, Karen Sprinkler is killed. And he attacks multiple women in the process. Sharon Wood gets away. He attempts to abduct a 14-year-old girl named Leanne Brumley. And then again, a fourth victim he kills, Linda Dawn Salee. So here's his victim count. So this is victim number 2. This is victim number 3. And then this is victim number 4, Salee. Damn. So these are his 4 victims that are confirmed. We think he may have killed 16 total. He never admitted to that. The second victim was killed, and he cut her breasts off, and he kept the breasts. He put paper towels where the breast cavity is and put an old bra from one of his collections, and he dumped her body. The last victim, Salee, was also asphyxiated, and her body was also found in the river. He would tie like a automobile transmission or automobile motor to their bodies and sink them in. This victim, let's see who this is. Let me just make sure I have this right. So you see this picture of Karen Sprinkler? He took this picture. So he made her undress, put on the underwear that he had in his collection, and he took that picture, the last photo of Karen Sprinkler, before he killed her. After he killed her, he hung her from a hook in the garage, and he left her there for some time, dead, hanging from a hook. And he would have sex with her dead body multiple times.
Wow. So, whoa. Let me just take that in right. So, he stripped her naked, dressed her in underwear, hung her on a hook, and then would have sex with her corpse.
Yes.
So we've definitely progressed from a foot fetish and cutting feet off.
And you'll see this. You'll see a progression. And you and I are going to do a video pretty soon with the serial killer who's going to confess to an unsolved murder where he did cut off her breasts and her vagina and everything. And we're going to get that. We're going to have that. It's going to be on my channel here in the next month. You'll see a progression with serial killers. They usually don't stay in the same spot. Like, they'll try this time, and then they try something even more extreme, and then they so he cuts out the foot. He's like, that was pretty good. And maybe I'll cut the breasts off next, and then I'll hang her, and then I'll have sex with her corpse. Yeah. They kind of progress that way. And
this was back in the era, and I only bring this up because of what you said in the Gacy video. Like, there was this era where women could just go locally missing. Like 10 women in a neighborhood could just go missing, and it just couldn't happen now. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's too much CCTV, there's too much building CCTV, just generally there's just cameras everywhere. Before we even get into population density or anything like that.
Right.
It is a creepy time period. Looking back from this time period, if that makes sense.
And you're right, Ron. With all the cameras today, people say, how did they get away with it back then? Just think, no cameras.
No cameras, no DNA.
No DNA. I mean, there's a lot of things that we're using today that they didn't have back then.
Yeah.
But still, there are killers killing 50 people today, driving semi-trucks and across the country and getting away with it. Can I just
throw this out there as well? Like social denial back then as well, where like the concept of this was just beyond, anything anyone had thought about, especially with Gacy.
So Mr. Brudos is, and this is another thing you'll see, Ron, with serial killers. They may kill one and then they take a 2-month break and they kill again. And then maybe they take a 1-month break, they kill again. Then they take a 2-week break and all of a sudden they're killing every single day. And that's what he did. He stepped up his attacks and then he finally got caught. And here's a crazy thing. He was only being questioned about an assault. And he confessed to 4 murders in the police department. He confessed to 4 murders. He's charged with only 3 because they couldn't find the 4th body yet. They never did. And by the way, that's where the bodies are buried. That's what I do in the podcast. So he confessed to 3 murders. He got 3 life sentences and off he went to prison. His wife divorced him, would never let the kids visit him again. And he does not do well in prison. This is what he looks like in prison. He's been assaulted regularly, physically assaulted and beaten, and sexually assaulted and sodomized. Okay, so inmates do not like people who kill young girls, and they did not take kindly to Jerry Brudos. But he did die in 2006, and he made it all the way to the age of 67. Ann Rule wrote a book on him called The Lust Killer. He was featured in the Netflix series Mindhunter. Make sure you don't miss that. So people ask me, what was his diagnosis? Here we go. Ready for this? Here's his diagnosis. Then I'm going to go to the chat and take questions. Borderline schizophrenic, antisocial personality, fetishism. He likes fetish, like shoes. Voyeurism, peeping Tom. So he likes to flash people. He likes to dress as a woman, Ron. Pay attention. Sadism. He likes to make people hurt and in pain. Oh, ready for this? He's also a necrophiliac. He liked to pose the bodies. And he took pictures of them. And as we know, he took feet and breasts as trophies. Now, BTK would just take driver's licenses. John Wayne Gacy would take your class ring. This guy took your feet and your breasts.
Damn.
Jerome Brudos, the shoe fetish slayer.
Yeah.